right, so who is ready to discuss sex hormones? You are awake. I am so glad. So, for anybody wondering, why in the world would someone talk about hormones at an essential oil symposium? Do you know that our essential oils and our hormones use the exact same communication pathways on our cells? Did you know that every single mitochondrion in your body, those tiny powerhouses that create energy, came from your mother? And not just your mother, her mother before her, and her mother before her, all the way back through your maternal line, unbroken for thousands of years. Your mitochondria are a living legacy. They carry not just energy, but the biological wisdom of the women who came before you. Wisdom of nourishment, wisdom of cycles, wisdom of creation, restoration, and survival. It's easy to forget that when you're feeling a little exhausted and overwhelmed. Mom of 9, I feel that often. But your mitochondria haven't forgotten. They are still whispering that your body is intelligent. Is that how you're feeling right now? Like your body is a vessel of wisdom and energy? Or do you possibly feel like it's working against you? Like it's possibly betrayed you? So I want to talk about what's happening behind the scenes. Many of you are entering perimenopause without even realizing it. So every female in the room over the age of 35 who is still having a cycle, please raise your hand. Welcome to perimenopause. Any one of you still doing everything right? Clean eating, supplements, movement, sleep hygiene, and still feel like you're falling apart. And the hardest part, you're the one helping others. You're the one showing up for your team, your customers, your family, while quietly wondering, why can't I fix myself? You used to be the high-performing type A woman who could do it all, and now your body is telling you, slow down, and no one is giving you any real answers. Your doctor says you're fine. Society says this is normal, but what they don't say is this: most of modern health science is built on the male body. For decades, women were actually excluded from clinical trials because our hormonal rhythms were considered too complex. So the result, we've inherited a healthcare system that doesn't fully understand female physiology. They think they do, but what they have done is applied science that was done on the male body and decided this should work for women too. So we're handed protocols designed for a biology that is not ours, and then we're made to feel like we're the problem because the results are not what we want. Let me be clear. You are not broken. You are biologically brilliant. And your hormones, your hormones are actually not working against you. They are communicating with you. When we understand them, when we support them, when we listen to them, they become our allies instead of our adversaries. Every single woman, whether you hit menopause, whether you've had a hysterectomy, you're still cycling. In our younger years, that rhythm is usually strong and obvious, but as we age, it can become chaotic, muted, or maybe feel like it's disappeared altogether. The truth is, those cycles actually never stop. It's not like your cells wake up one day and be like, well, today she turned 53, I'm not needed anymore. That's actually not how biology works. Our cells are still searching for their communicators: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Yes, ladies, we need that one too. So when those signals become weaker, inconsistent, the system starts to scramble. That scramble is what we feel as hot flashes, mood swings, brain fog, sleep disruption, or that sense that our body is just breaking down. What we've accepted as normal aging, it's not normal. It's common. And that's why learning how to sync movement, lifestyle, and nutrition with our natural rhythm is so powerful. We're essentially reteaching our body its own language, giving those cells the environment they need to receive and respond to the signals properly again. So let's dive in a little deeper so you can understand what is happening and so you can make more informed decisions when designing your personal routine. You guys have learned so much today, and it's impossible for us all to pack in everything you learned in our individual routines. So I want you to learn how to customize. This chart may look a little overwhelming, maybe say, but it tells the story of how every sex hormone in your body is created. You don't need to memorize it, but I do need you to understand what fuels this process and what shuts it down. So it all begins with cholesterol. Turns out that's not a four-letter word. Here's something most people don't realize. 75 to 80% of your cholesterol is made by your liver, not your fork. Yet most of the conversations about cholesterol focus on diet instead of liver health. So that's the first key I need you to grasp. Second, I would like you to look closely at the arrows on that chart. Every single arrow represents an enzyme plus a cofactor. Enzymes are built from amino acids. So ladies, if you're not eating enough protein, your body doesn't have the raw material to make them. Cofactors are vitamins and minerals, which means nutrient density becomes non-negotiable. That's a lot of arrows on that chart. So here's the sobering reality. Our food today contains about 40% fewer nutrients than it did a century ago. And that's only if you're eating all whole foods instead of processed options. In other words, your hormones are only as strong as the raw material you give them. Protein, micronutrients, and liver health are the foundation for this entire pathway. Now, to make this even clearer, we're going to split this chart in half, and we're going to walk through exactly how lifestyle choices can either support or sabotage your entire hormone production. So let's talk about one of the biggest hormone tug-of-wars. It is stress versus progesterone. So I want you to think of pregnenolone, that falls right underneath the cholesterol there, as your master raw material, or as the currency your body spends to make all hormones. Under normal circumstances, that currency can be invested in sex hormones like progesterone, or in stress hormones like cortisol. Anybody dealing with stress today? But when experiencing stress, your body doesn't ask. It just takes. And this is what we call the pregnenolone steal. Stress demands the lion's share of that currency, funneling it into cortisol, and production leaves less for progesterone. Now the plot thickens. Elevated cortisol doesn't just steal the raw material, it also interferes with the control system itself, the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, or HPO axis. This axis acts like a command center for your menstrual cycle. When cortisol levels are high, that command center gets silenced. Ovulation can be delayed or disrupted, and with it goes your body's main surge of progesterone each month. Now here's the kicker. Progesterone actually plays a role in keeping stress in check, and one of its metabolites, allopregnenolone, acts like a natural tranquilizer, so helping calm the nervous system, quieting anxiousness, and even regulating the HPA axis so cortisol doesn't spiral out of control. And then we come full circle. High cortisol doesn't just reduce progesterone levels, it can also block progesterone's receptors. That means if you have progesterone present, it can't dock to do its job. It's like having the right key, but the lock is jammed. And then here's where omega-3 fatty acids come in. They're literally the oil in the gears of this system, supporting fluid, flexible cell membranes so hormones and receptors can communicate clearly, and helping to regulate healthy inflammatory response burden that makes stress signaling a lot worse. Without enough omegas, this tug of war between cortisol and progesterone becomes even more lopsided. So stress doesn't just drain your hormones, it hijacks the system, it locks the doors, and without the right building blocks like omegas, progesterone can't show up for its calming, balancing role. When I say stress, I don't just mean arguments with your spouse or juggling too many deadlines. Stress is anything that places an extra demand on the body. That includes the obvious, mental and emotional strain, but also hidden stressors, things we don't always recognize. gut imbalances, environmental toxins, poor sleep, and even normal blood sugar spikes and crashes. Raising teenagers definitely qualifies as well. Here's the part that surprises most people. Stress can even come from things that we think are healthy, like running several miles a day when your body is already depleted. Women plunging into ice water. Yeah, cold plunging science was actually done on men, not on women and their hormones. Or even fasting too aggressively at the wrong times of your cycle. All of these can be added stressors if your system isn't supported. In the luteal phase, the last 10 to 12 days before your period, so end of the chart here, your body needs carbohydrates to support healthy progesterone production and stabilize mood and energy. Choosing a nutrient-dense carb like root veggies and fruit during this time actually helps your body do its job. So, if you've ever wondered why your husband ate keto and dropped 30 pounds, and then you tried it and dropped 5 or none, eating low carb for women during the last 10 days of their cycle is a stressor. Stress is cumulative. Your body doesn't always know the difference between poor sleep, a toxin, fight with your spouse, or I was just trying to do something healthy, jumping into that ice water. We've already talked about the foundation, nutrient-rich diet and supplementation. So now let's talk about some targeted solutions to add to your toolbox. The Doterra Serenity Sleep System is the ultimate bundle for sleep support. The Serenity soft gels combine CPTG essential oils like lavender and L-theanine to quiet the nervous system, while the Doterra Serenity oil blend helps create a very restful environment. When you use this system together, you're giving your body permission to shift out of stress mode and into repair mode. We also have the adaptive system. So think of this as your daily stress buffer. Adaptive capsules combine the soothing benefits of CPG essential oils with studied botanicals. Adaptive capsules are among the best natural tools available to manage the effects from everyday tension, uneasiness, and worry. However, these tools do not replace lifestyle. They enhance it. So if you're crawling in bed and scrolling on the doom scroll, and they're like, well, I don't understand why my serenity is not kicking in while I watch the world end on my phone. It's not how it works. Okay, so I want you to think of them as leverage points. They help you recover faster, they help you buffer daily stressors, and free up resources for your body to invest back into hormonal balance. So now let's flip to the other side of that steroid hormone pathway. Men, this is your favorite side, and we're going to talk about DHEA. So DHEA is often called your youth hormone. It's a powerful precursor that branches into both estrogen and testosterone production. And here's the challenge. Stress doesn't just steal pregnenolone for cortisol, it also suppresses DHEA over time. So when DHEA drops, the whole downstream cascade of sex hormones becomes compromised. Look what comes after DHEA. For women, especially those living in constant type A drive, always pushing, always producing, always going for the next rank, the body ends up leaning into the masculine lane. Cortisol and adrenaline dominate while feminine hormones like progesterone and balanced estrogen completely sidelined. Over time, that imbalance shows up as feeling anxious, sleep disruption, irregular cycles, wanting to strangle your husband when he snores at night, and accelerated aging. But stress isn't the only player. Blood sugar levels are just as crucial. Every time normal insulin spikes occur, it changes these hormone dynamics. In women, suboptimal insulin levels can directly stimulate the ovaries to crank out more androgens like testosterone. At the same time, insulin lowers the liver's production of sex hormone binding globulin, or SHBG. Think of SHBG as the chaperone. It keeps testosterone in check. When SHBG drops, more free testosterone is circulating, and that's when symptoms like acne, other skin issues, hair growth in unwanted places, and irregular ovulation can appear. Add to that, insulin also increases luteinizing hormone, which is released from the pituitary gland, which pushes the ovaries to make even more testosterone. However, for men, the story completely flips. When blood sugar swings lead to belly fat, aromatase activity rises. And aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen. The more belly fat, the more conversion. The result, low testosterone, higher estrogen, and a vicious cycle of fat gain, fatigue, declining vitality. And this isn't just a theory. We're watching men's testosterone levels drop generation after generation. In the last 3 years of lab work, I've yet to see a 20-year-old match his 50-year-old father's levels. Researchers are calling the decline alarming, and it impacts far more than libido. Low testosterone affects energy, muscle mass, metabolism, mood, and even your motivation for life. And then there's estrogen itself. Estrogen doesn't just disappear when it's used. It actually has to be broken down and eliminated. When the estrobolome, that's where the estrobolome comes in. It's a specific set of gut microbes that actually process estrogen metabolites. If the estrobolome is healthy, estrogen is detoxified and excreted. But if the gut microbiome is imbalanced, or if you're not having daily bowel movements, didn't think we were going to talk about bowel movements again, those metabolites actually get reabsorbed. So it's kind of like taking out the trash and then bringing it right back into your kitchen and dumping it on the floor. The end result, you have estrogen dominance, hormone symptoms, and an added strain on an already stressed system. So here's the bottom line. Stress drains DHEA. Type A living drives women into imbalance. Even normal insulin spikes create testosterone surges in women and estrogen surges in men. And a sluggish gut recycles estrogen back into circulation. Hormone health is not about one gland. It's about the entire system, from your stress response to your liver to your microbiome. We just talked about how blood sugar imbalances can hijack hormone health, fueling excess androgens in women, driving that estrogen conversion in men, and keeping the whole system under an additional stress. In the follicular phase, the very beginning of your cycle, when estrogen is climbing, limiting excess carbs and focusing on lean protein, fiber, and colorful veggies supports optimal estrogen metabolism. This is my favorite targeted solution for those healthy blood sugar levels and one of our most powerful levers for hormone balance. This is where the MetaPower system shines. MetaPower Assist is a targeted supplement designed to help moderate those post-meal glucose curves. It also combines mulberry leaf extract, which helps promote healthy regulation of normal range blood sugar levels, with berberine and cinnamon, both of which have been studied for their ability to support glucose metabolism. MetaPower Essential Oil Blend works from another angle. Its rich chemistry supports healthy metabolic processes and can actually help you curb cravings that drive those really poor food choices. You can diffuse it, you can take it in a soft gel, or my absolute favorite way is to use several drops while dry brushing. Together, Assist and MetaPower Oil give your body the support it needs to stay off the blood sugar roller coaster, helping free up your hormonal pathways to work the way they were designed. So, remember those mitochondria I mentioned? They don't just make energy, they are the ignition switch for your hormones. If exhaustion is your main concern, then this targeted solution would be your go-to. Mitochondrial signaling plays a central role in steroid hormone production: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. But here's the key. Mitochondria need cofactors. They need nutrients like our B vitamins, magnesium, selenium, and zinc to function. They also rely on omega-3 fatty acids to stabilize the membranes, regulate a healthy inflammatory response, and keep your cells fluid and responsive. And your estrobolome, the part of your gut microbiome that metabolizes estrogen, relies on digestive integrity, fiber, and detox pathways to do its job. The wisdom is there. So if something is off, we have to ask ourselves, are my cells getting what they need? That's why at Doterra, everything we teach begins with the wellness pyramid, because hormonal health is not separate from foundational health. The pyramid reminds us nutrition and digestion first, then movement, metabolism, rest and stress recovery, reducing our toxic load, and targeted solutions that match your physiology. Your 28-day cycle isn't just about your period. It's the rhythm your body runs on every single month. And when you learn to live in sync with it, supporting the right hormones at the right time, things feel smoother and more balanced. So here's how it could look in practice. Days 1 through 7, blood sugar balance is key here. So this is where the metabolism targeted solution really shines, helping to steady energy and regulating those healthy blood sugar levels to avoid estrogens, disrupting estrogen's climb. Days 14 to 21, progesterone's trying to rise. So this is when stress management is non-negotiable. Don't have those critical conversations then. The adaptive targeted solution becomes especially important here, helping people keep cortisol in check so progesterone can do its job. And then days 21 through 28, this is where many women really feel the struggle. Mood swings, sleep disruption, low patience, layering in additional support for energy with the energy targeted solution or for rest with the Doterra Serenity system can help your body get the deep sleep it needs so your hormones can reset. The goal is not to make this complicated. It's to give you tools that flow with your body's rhythm instead of fighting against it. Small, intentional choices each week can have a huge impact over time. You don't need a hormone hack. You need daily nourishment that supports cellular function, mitochondrial signaling, and hormonal intelligence. And of course, we have so many amazing essential oils to support that stage of life as well. In your packet that you guys have today, you actually have a packet of bergamot essential oil, which I invite you to either put on now or the next time that self-talk becomes the toxin in your life, put on the bergamot essential oil. This approach is not overwhelming. It's empowering because when you nourish your foundation, you create the conditions for your hormones to do exactly what they were designed to do. That's why foundational wellness matters, because hormones don't operate in isolation. They rely on micronutrients to function. They need essential fatty acids to receive a clear signal. They require a balanced gut to clear and communicate. That's why BMG+, E Omega+, and doTERRA PB Restore were designed to support not just your issues, but your systems. You're not meant to feel like a stranger in your own body. You are not too complicated. You are deeply and divinely designed. You carry the legacy of women who have survived, who have created and persevered, women whose strength still pulses through your mitochondria today. But wisdom alone is not enough. Your body needs tools. So you can stop feeling at war with your body and start partnering with it, because managing hormones begins with restoration, not restriction. And here's the part I want to leave you with. Restoring balance takes time. I will be the first to admit I spent well over a decade literally bathing myself in a toxic cocktail of synthetic fragrances, from lotion, body butters, body sprays, and don't even bring up what I used in my house. And then I layered on another 10 years of nonstop stress building a business. Sound familiar? It would be really unrealistic to expect that after 20 years of that type of neglect, my body would bounce back to perfect balance in just 3 months of foundational wellness with a targeted solution. This takes consistency. It takes patience and grace for yourself, because what you're doing isn't just fixing issues, you're rebuilding an entire foundation that stress, toxins, and lifestyle have chipped away at for years. And that foundation is worth the time it takes to build it back strong. We've walked through how hormones work, how syncing lifestyle choices and the right products can support those natural rhythms. But what if you're doing all of that and still feel out of balance? There may be one more factor that could be throwing your hormones for a loop: toxins. To dive deeper into how detox plays a role in women's hormonal health, I am excited to introduce Dr. Ashley Anderson. Watch me.